now like to introduce Mr. Stephen Goldsmith, who's going to do Welcome to Country for us. I'd like to introduce the performer and the guy that wrote it, Caper, from How Would You Like to Be Me?
Check, check, check. How's it going, everybody? How would you like to be me, an aborigine, looked down upon in society? How would you like to be treated like a dog by ignorant little suckers that make you feel odd? Think that all we do is drink grog, and they say we only have ourselves to blame. Those idiots should be ashamed. It's like they can or won't understand aboriginal pain. I wish those haters could walk in our shoes, then they'll know what it's like to lose and live a life that's been abused from hereditary ills that kill. Hey, was just at a pizza bar the other day, overheard a conversation and I heard him say, black boom's this, black niggas that. Made me wanna react and say something back with my fist, but God was pissed. But it didn't wild out and act the fool, cause violence don't change a thing at all. No, it don't change a thing at all. How would you like to be me? Stereotype. What, should I paint myself white to fit in right? How would you like to be me? Discriminated, hated, and judged by society. Tell me, how would you like to be me? In a taxi on the way to the city, taxi man says tonight's been busy, then goes on to say he hates picking up abos. I was like, what the hell, abos? Can you believe the nerve? I said, don't you know that's a racist word? He said, oh, I didn't realize you were black. I said, even if I wasn't, shouldn't say that. How would you like to be me? Treated like a freaking disease or surrounded by poverty. You're quick to help others in need every time there's another tsunami. What about in our own country? What about Aboriginal communities? They too live in third world conditions. Food and fuel costs more. Hey, housing and people in it are poor. Health is the biggest killer, but hey, people don't care as long as the blacks stay there. Yeah, now that's unfair. How would you like to be me? Stereotype. What, should I pick myself white to fit in right? How would you like to be me? Discriminated, hated, and judged by society. Tell me, how would you like to be me? Stereotype. What, should I paint myself white to fit in right? How would you like to be me? Discriminated, hated, and judged by society. Tell me, how would you like to be me? How would you like to be me? To the media, don't stereotype us every time Gang 49 does a crime. Cause the public look at us like we all bad and it's making us mad. How would you like to be me? Lining up at a club, wasn't drunk, dressed fresh to death, about to put my patience to the test. Spent an hour in the line, got to the front, was like about damn time. Then the bouncer said, sorry, but I can't let you win. A fight broke out last night between blacks and an Asian. I said, that wasn't me, it wasn't him. He said, I can't let you win cause the color of your skin. Now that took the cake, cause the bouncer was African American for peace sake. Know what I'm saying? How would you like to be me? Stereotype. Why should I pick myself white to fit in right? How would you like to be me? Discriminated, hated, and judged by society. Tell me, how would you like to be me? Stereotype. Why should I pick myself white to fit in right? How would you like to be me? Discriminated, hated, and judged by society. Tell me, how would you like to be me? How would you like to be? How would you like to be me? Thank you.
I met this group in October last year. I actually got out of bed one morning and I thought, you know, there's nothing happening in Aboriginal Australia. Nobody seems to be making a noise, especially in South Australia. We weren't making the noise that we should have been making. And I said to my partner, Grace, I said, I'm going to call a summit. I'm going to call an Aboriginal summit. Didn't have a plan, didn't have any dollars, but I'm going to call it. So I did. And I rang a very good friend of mine, Jerry Georgiadis, who's going to be one of the speakers tonight. I said, Jerry, I want to call a summit. And he said, great, Toro. And next thing I seen, it was on the National Indigenous Times. He sent it around Australia and people got interested, but we still had no money. So what I done is jumped on a plane and I went to Alice Springs, spent about a week and a half, nearly 2 weeks, no money, knocking on Aboriginal organisations' doors, talking to Karma Radio, and the reception that I received was phenomenal. Everybody said, yes, let's go for it. And the Aboriginal organisations there, they donated, not financially, but in kind. We got the tents and the microphones and the platform from Karma Radio. We went to the Central Lands Council, they donated. We went to the Aboriginal Health Services, they donated. And I had to do one important thing, make sure we got Welcome to Country done properly, so there wasn't any problems. So I approached now my very good friend, Rosalie Kernoff-Monk, and her nephew, Baden. Is it your nephew or grandson? Grandson. So I thought, well, two best people to do the Welcome to Country. The Welcome to Country went well, and so did the summit. Everybody accepted the summit, because as you know, when you go into a different country, you've got to get permission, and got permission. So this is where we are today, ladies and gentlemen. Then on the 1st of May, the march happened in King William Street, and it happened in different parts of Australia and around the world. Rallies to stop the WA government from closing Aboriginal lands. And now people from all around the world are protesting and supporting what we are doing today and tonight.
Thank you, Kuda, and Quarin acknowledgement and Murangura Kana, Anaujuda Juda, and Janjun Mananjurimba, Muranga Quaran and Kujunga Regola, Jingo idea like Onkola Bongo, Yuntongan and Jongo, acknowledging the traditional owners, the Ghana people, past and present of this country, and hopefully this forum can tie us together in some way of trying to help us, so that we don't have to keep fighting for ourselves. Why is it that you've got a small part of Australia continuously fighting, continuously marching for what is rightfully ours, and why do we have to go through the discrimination that we go through? My name's Alison Anderson. I'm the Luritja Pindaby woman from a community called Papanya, 250 kilometres west of Alice Springs, and I'm the local member in Central Australia for the seat of Nambudirra, which covers about 385,000 square kilometres. And I speak all the languages of that area, and I also represent my sister sitting there with the hat, Rosie Kunoth Monks, and we're sisters, not just classificatory sisters, but sisters in Dreamtime, because the honey ant story actually goes from my community to her community of Utopia. And I was just saying to the crew a little bit earlier on, I was quite sick a couple of months ago, and I went off to Western Australia to sit down to get healed up, and the old ladies there didn't know anything about what was happening, but when I was sick, Rosie had come to visit me, to put the fire back into my belly again, and I went off, and the old lady said, "There's a lady here from Utopia." And I said, "Can't be, you know? There, Rosie been chasing me in the spirit, please, to Western Australia." Yeah, so she really put the fire back in my belly, and I think that we all need the fire in the belly when the governments are going so much against the grain of a society that's supposed to be good, a society that's supposed to be giving and willing to accept people. And like Brother was saying, Professor was saying, we've got certain groups of people in this society that stand up and use the forum to say that we shouldn't think about our past and live in the past, but move on. So why are we talking about constitutional recognition, if that's the case? And the past is a very, very important part of everybody's life in order for us all to move on. If you don't accept or recognise what happened in the past as a society, then we can't move on. We have a very, very rude, arrogant, conservative government in the Northern Territory, and I'll just go back and tell you a bit of history about myself. In 2005, I stood for the Labor Party in the Northern Territory and won it off a Conservative standing member for eight years. I worked with the Labor Party and couldn't see anything happening for Aboriginal people in the Northern Territory or in my electorate. So I left the Labor Party and went and stayed as an independent. And then the Conservatives come and asked me if I could go and join them. I said, "Oh, okay, I'll try you out, brother, no worries." So I went and tried out and regained my seat as a Conservative. But I didn't stay long there. I'm a nomad from the desert, so I love going walkabout. And I left them too, and I'm an independent again. And believe me, neither of these two parties are interested in our plight or the direction in way that we have to go. They're both interested in themselves. They're both interested in what's good for the left and the right. Nothing to do with our plight, nothing to do with the way that we want to move. Like I said, the Conservatives a little bit sort of they'll come and kick you in the guts in broad daylight. Labor Party will wait till the night time or wait till you sleep, you know, because they always want to be our friends. So we know that. We just got to get smarter and wiser ourselves as Aboriginal people, because I think that we have a capacity to be in Parliament as independents and really control the two major parties. Let's not give them our black votes for nothing. Let's hold them accountable, because we can do it in the Northern Territory. There's 2 Aboriginal independents in the Northern Territory, and the Conservatives run the Northern Territory at the moment, but they are the worst government you've ever seen in your whole life. And Labor Party's no better. And what we've got to do is we've got to get the strength for ourselves, put the fire back into our bellies again, and start sitting in there as independents, really holding the balance of power and holding these people accountable. And Torda was just saying that on several occasions he ran in this jurisdiction for Parliament. We've got to make sure that we put our faith and our number one behind our people. Let's not say what you're going to do for me, because I tell you, these two major parties are good at buying off our people too. So let's not forget that. Let's always be loyal to ourselves. This is our biggest problem. And in the Northern Territory, you'll see all sorts of things going on. You know, in Western Australia, they're talking about closing down communities. In the Northern Territory, they're talking about taking away our hard-won rights. They want economic development. They said, you know, we've got to open up our land to economic development, but they won't negotiate with us. If you have a look at the land rights in the Northern Territory, 38% of the landmass in the Northern Territory is under land rights. The rest we can call on under native title. So we're the biggest landowners in the Northern Territory. The government does not talk to us. So what they want to do is they're talking to their mates in Canberra to repatriate the Land Rights Act to the Northern Territory, to destroy a legislation that we didn't win underneath any tree. We won it in their own court of law, in the white man's court of law. And they want to take that away because they think that they want economic development. They know that we got all sorts of minerals on our country, but they don't want to sit down and talk to us. This is the unfair deal that we continuously get from these people. They don't want to negotiate, they don't want to talk to us, they don't want to sit down with us. They just want to continuously take. And if we say no, then we're the bad people, we're closing up Aboriginal land. Well, there's some land that is sacred to our people, and we want to keep it closed. We want to keep it closed for the next generation of people, our kids, our grannies, so that we can show them where we come from. And I think I said at the college this morning, a lot of our kids growing up today think that, you know, there's this podgy language called English. And they don't really want to have anything to do with their Aboriginal identity or their Aboriginal language, or they find it too hard because it's cool, man, to speak English when they're walking down the road, you know? Let's use this language as a tool. A plumber or a carpenter never goes out without all his stuff. Carpenter put his bag around his waist, he put his nail inside there, measuring thing inside there, he's got his ruler inside there, he's got his chalk inside there, he's got his hammer inside there. It's something that we use as a tool. Let's not think it's famous, let's not think it's good, let's not think it's cool. This building cannot be built without the foundation that we're all standing on that holds this whole building up. Our Aboriginal identity is very, very important. Let's hold that, let's cherish that, let's spread that around, and let's use what whitefellas give us as a tool to open that door and move over there or fly over there. That's all we need to use it for. But we are important as Aboriginal people with our law, identity, culture, our songs and our ceremonies, and we need to make sure that we keep that very, very strong. And I think some of the ideas and the solutions that we come up with is that every government bureaucrat thinks that they know better. They think that they know what we want better than what we think we want. Like I say, our people's poverty and misery determines how a lot of people live, where their kids go to school, what kind of food they got on the table, how many houses they got, who their friends are. And I want to ask you a question in this crowd. Is it in their best interest to make sure that we're in the best health, that we're not incarcerated, that our kids are not in juvenile detention, that our kids are not in docks or child protection? Of course it's not, because they need their jobs. And it's all based on our poverty and misery. And they won't turn it around. There's 22,000 bureaucrats in the Northern Territory. Who holds these people accountable for not closing the gap? 22,000 for 36% of the territory's population. Who holds these people accountable? Nobody. But you will come back to blame us if the gap isn't closed. Blame them. There's 22,000 of them in the Northern Territory and there's 16,000 in Canberra. Blame them. Start putting them out of their jobs so that they start driving around like us in Falcons, not in Parados. So they start living in overcrowded houses like we do, not two to a bedroom. So their kids can go to schools like our kids go to school, so they don't get the literacy and numeracy. Let's start seeing all that happening, because it is just unfair and just what's happening to Aboriginal people in a society where we have been so welcoming to everybody that's come by boat, because every single one of you, except for Aboriginals, come by boat to this country, and we've been accepted. We've accepted your great-great-grandparents into this country, and we've accepted you. Let's have that genuine acceptance of Aboriginal people and our kids and the next generation of our children to what they're rightfully entitled to. And let's start holding the right people account. Let's start asking them why there's such a high rate of incarceration amongst our people. Why, has anybody jumped up and down to say why the vigilante hasn't been arrested under the terrorism laws of Australia in Alice Springs because they're threatening to kill people and hang people in Alice Springs, Aboriginal people? I brought it up in Parliament last week. Not a sound. Doesn't the federal law combine us all, black and white? That law should be arresting those people, but it's not. Do they want me to go back as a local politician to stand up in Parliament again and you having a eulogy for someone else that's been killed in Alice Springs? Or we're going to change the face of the future of this country so that we can live in harmony together with the respect that we've shown your great-great-grandparents, and the respect should be shown to our future generation of this country. And I think that we can work together to share that, to make sure that we hold governments account, but let's stop blaming the wrong people, because like I said, 22,000 bureaucrats in the Northern Territory. We come really under the federal government. The federal government should be overriding any decisions made against Aboriginal people in the Northern Territory. The misuse of money, the GST money, never goes into Aboriginal communities. They buy their votes in the northern suburbs of Darwin, and we still struggle. And these are the kind of things that's got to change, but it can't change unless we work together, unless you help us and we help you, and we stand united in this fight to make a better Australia for the future generation of Australians. Thank you.
Marandora, thank you, Brother Torre. I have a touch of cold, but I hope I can get through, because this is very important. I would also like to acknowledge traditional owners and people of South Australia, but this time in the Aranda language. Marandora Zarama, Arandra, Arandra Lerpachika, Marandarinum. Marandarinum Metlarajika, Arandram Lanaka, Maranangora. Is Mondanina, Walpringorla, Alison Lilaka, is Mondan Manita Zandial. Itlarajika, Akodajanichik. Reclaim. Hold your languages. In speaking those languages, I feel indeed privileged. I also bore the full bore of the cruel assimilationist programs when I was small, and I still continue to feel that oppression. That oppression is now through every instrument or every structure, whether it's local government or whether it's state government, and cruelly through the education system. Do not be ashamed to be black. You have a heritage that is so beautiful. Live it, feel it, and breathe it. It's alive. I was out between Ayers Rock and the Olgas, right out bush, with the Central Land Council. And every night for 3 nights, I went to sleep with all those languages from Central Australia caressing me. I may not have understood the Pitjantjatjara language, but it was beautiful. Coming from the campfires, I may not have understood the people from further up north, from Kalgoorlie and Lajamanu, but I felt alive. I felt I was back in my childhood, because that's how I grew up, only with my local tribe, with their little separate campfires. That wasn't that long ago. I'm really not 100 years old yet. However, to feel that survival of these extraordinary people in the midst of absolute abuse is incredible. And I heard it every night. I heard the men's gentle laughter. My daughter and I were surrounded by a few shrubby little mulgas, and we felt so secure and safe. It's a beautiful, beautiful culture that Australia should be so privileged still to have. So let's not always think about speaking the perfect Queen's language. When you hear us Aboriginal women, queens of this country, speak our language, there is nothing better nor more nourishing than that. Let's not pride ourselves in being a carbon copy of the best brain in the academic world. Because believe it or not, the complete human, the real human, is the ones out in the rag, sleeping under those little campfires. They're exceptional humans. They have the capabilities of not only being one gender, but being a Marley, which is a mother, uncle, being grandfather, Arangi, can be capable of being grandmother as well. This is the extraordinary culture in a people that's being castigated, people that are being attacked and pushed off their homelands in Western Australia. This should not be tolerated by any one of us. Whether we got a colour, which the Illawarra people call red nose, that's the Europeans. I'll learn them. Because I'll learn her because you guys got sunburned. Your nose was the most prominent part of you. So it stuck with the description of you out in the bush, northeast of Alice Springs. It's not derogatory. We were never cruel to people that were out of place and lost in our region of the country. I wanted to bring you back, I guess, tonight to the fact that we are all humans. We are not a curio, nor are we in the museums as yet. And against great odds, the miracle is that we still speak our language, that we practice our ceremony, that we know every inch of our responsibility for particular geographical spots, which happens to be our homelands. Pull me up, Toro, when I'm over. I love it. I love all these people here. I love you all. Because you've come out tonight, because you heard that we were going to talk on a human issue. A human issue. Not for political expediency, not for self-gain, not for any other reason, but that we are concerned at the direction that the Conservative government is taking. It's not a good one. The guy Alison mentioned, he is Irish actually. I heard him singing, he was busking in the, street. His voice was so beautiful. He's a white guy. He's the one that's leading up the vigilantes. But he couldn't resist mine and my granddaughter, little Ruby, 13-year-old's charm. We threw $10 at him, and we cuddled him and said how beautiful his voice was. Then last Saturday, at the rally in Alice Springs, he came up again because he saw me. I was about to go on and speak at that rally. He saw me, came up for a second cuddle. And then somebody said, "Do you know who you're cuddling?" And I said, "I don't know, but he's gorgeous." He's got a beautiful voice. And that's the guy who apparently appeared on radio saying that he's going to shoot every black so-and-so in his town, he and a gang. So you don't know what goes on, even in your hometown. But I tell you what, blackfellas don't do that. Blackfellas take you at face value. Even when we're being kicked, we will not give up on humanity and the special gifts that human beings can give to each other. I believe that there are, in this country of ours, a special spirit. I felt it out at Murugulu all last week. The stars were just brilliant. We did not have any lights at all, artificial lights. And we had these death traps, which was called, they were testing it out, portaloos. And they were so thin. When we got in there, you had to go outside to finish, wiping yourself. It was incredible. And yet, in spite of all those obstacles, tell you what, my daughter and I did not want to leave. So don't be scared of being out bush. Don't be scared of not having a shower for a week or two. It really doesn't kill you. The essential things are caring for the country and caring for each other. The other thing that, prior to that the Arundic nations in Central Australia did, and I was one of the ladies that was involved in it, is that we recorded each Arundic group's songs from thousands of years ago, put the patterns on our young people, girls, as long as they had breasts, their patterns of their country, and recorded that. Rachel Perkins and Hetty Perkins were both involved. We've recorded that because if we don't record it, we will lose it tomorrow. And that's the political will against us to get rid of us as quickly as possible. And this is not a scare tactic, it's real. I see the sugar-coated policies come down from above, from Canberra. It's a real poison. I have lived through the intervention. It has traumatised a whole group of people throughout the territory. And I think Alison, when she said what has happened in the Northern Territory and the politics thereof, it is hideous. It really is. Now tonight, just as I close up, I would like to say to all Australians of goodwill, it is time we took a journey of truth and justice. So we do not dwell on the past. The people that came out in the first fleets were also traumatised. They were brutalised in their own country. And then that brutality, because of survival instincts, was turned onto us. And we've been suffering ever since. Australia, and particularly my people, I ask us to pressurise for a truth and justice journey. Not next year, not the year after, not 10 years from now. It is urgent that we look at each other. And like that young misguided boy in Alice Springs that's been cuddling me, just giving me a hug, and at the same time wants to shoot every black bee in Alice Springs to clean them off the street. That's the thing we do not want. And that was on the news last night, on the ABC News, and I think it was in the papers as well. And I think he spoke on the radio. You don't take those things lightly. Following truth and justice, I would also like to call on our people of Australia to look at a treaty. Treaty is not a scary word. Have a look at it and look at it truthfully. We are the first people of this country. I ask for your goodwill and also for your respect. Otherwise, we will come to conflict. And because we are intelligent, adult people, we need to address the issues before it comes to conflict. That is not where I wish to go. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.